Hi, and welcome to another edition of Tako Talk. My name is Stephen Tako, anti-bullying advocate, author of Motivated to Act, and also I have a character that I've developed called Junga, the Dancing Yeti, and he is a character that goes out to schools, and we've got anti-bullying public service announcements that we're working on as well. So anyway, on today's show, I am very fortunate to bring my friend Maurice DiMino on. Maurice, I met you at one of, I think might have been Craig Duswalt's program first, and you were a speaker on there, and I was like, that guy is really good.
Thank you.
And then you had your own work boot camp, and so I felt very fortunate that you included me, to find out more about your expertise. And I went to your boot camp, and it was an awesome investment to go to the workshop, the boot camp, because I learned a lot about myself and about my abilities. I'm already a very positive person, but just going to your boot camp is like one of those things where we need a lot of reinforcements. When you're an entrepreneur or you're an artist, an actor, business owner, any of that, there's so many people that get knocked down and bullied and told you can't do this, and you have to dig so deep inside to find that inner strength. And so I wanted to bring you on the show to mix with our viewers here and tell us a little bit about whether you've had some bullying experiences yourself, or what you've done when you've had some, because I know you do private coaching and you've on top of the workshops and everything else. So maybe you have some things that you could share with me and our viewers about ways that you've helped people overcome the negative effects of bullying.
Well, first off, I want to say thank you. This is actually a topic near and dear to my heart. At my intensive Discover Your $1 Million Message, I actually talk about my beginnings as a child and how I was bullied. People may not believe this, but I was the fat kid in town. I was bullied from 4th grade all the way through 8th grade. Talk about fighting! I think I was in a fight once a week.
Wow.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
And you were starting them?
No, that's a crazy thing. No, I wasn't. I was a quiet, nice, peaceful kid coming from a nice Italian upbringing, and I didn't understand what was going on, and
they saw you as an easy target.
They saw me as an easy target. And the reason I'm thanking you, because I've never really talked about this aspect of me. People really don't know this of me. They see, like you said, I'm a great speaker and I'm helping people, and I want to say thank you for allowing me to share with the audience this background, because I think it's prevalent. It's a topic that's hot right now. And I think for good reason why it's hot, because it's killing our children. I think the saddest story I heard was a young girl who was tormented in school at 14 years old, and she jumped in front of a New York City bus. What the hell's going on? So I hope that by what I'm sharing and what I went through, hopefully it'll help the children, also help the parents, because I like to talk about that. I think my parents were instrumental in bringing me through that experience. Again, going back there, I always say that I was 3 feet tall and 3 feet wide. I mean, I was so big, and they use the term husky, which is code for the fat.
Kind.
Yeah, how kind? Yeah, husky. We used to go to the husky section, and it got to a point that I didn't want to go to school anymore. And I'll never forget one time, because I was in a fight, Stephen. I was in a fight once a week. The kids would just pick on me.
Terrifying.
It was draining. That's the best way to put it. And I'll never forget, one time I went to my mom, Nancy DiMino, and I said, "Mom, that's it. I'm not going to go to school anymore. I just can't take it." And I'll never forget what she said to me, and I think this is what I want to share with our viewers, young and old alike. And she said something that changed my life, Stephen. She said this: "Maurice, you have to face the music." Now, I don't know what happened. I was 10 years old, but I totally understood what she meant. In other words, this is how I interpret it, that no matter what the outside world was giving to me, it was my response to it. That it was going to be joyful, it was going to be painful, it was going to be great, and it was going to be problematic. So no matter what music was presented to me, I had to face it no matter what.
And not run away from it.
And thank goodness I went back to school that day, and I continued to go to school, and that was key. And that's what I want to share, especially with the parents out there. you know, I just don't want to say, oh, don't worry about it, let it go. No, it's pretty prevalent what's going on out there, and I want the parents to understand that this is really affecting your children. This is really getting to them, and really dig deep. I mean, even though I was facing the music, it continued. And I shared the story at my intensive how my parents said, okay, you know, if he continues down this path, we're going to lose this. We're going to lose our son.
The bullying kept continuing.
If the bullying kept continuing, I was going to be mentally, something's going to be wrong,
right.
Just mentally. And you know, and I don't know how they did it, but they didn't put me into academics. They didn't put me into sports, but they suggested of all things to run for 8th grade president. Now, I must have had rocks in my head because as the 8th grade president, what did I have to do? I had to go up in front of people and speak in front of the entire school. I had to speak in front of all my tormentors. And an amazing thing happened. I won that election, and wow. I don't know if it was that because
was your mom buying votes?
No, I don't think she was buying votes, but she did bake a lot of cookies that year for some reason. So maybe that's why I won. Some good Italian cookies.
Gotta love mom.
Exactly. But amazing thing happened. I don't know, is that maybe that I showed them that I persevered, even though they were tormenting me. I persevered. I still pushed forward, and I let my inner self come out, my inner confidence come out, and from that point forward, and this is, I guess, what led to where I am today about that speaking. In other words, being able to speak your mind, finding that message written in your hearts and share it with the world. Mm-hmm. I know you had other guests on here like Heidi Lee and also Jeremy Weinglass and also other guests that are going to be coming up.
I had Faith Jefferies, and she's 14 years old now. And she's just recently been dealing with cyberbullying.
Oh my gosh!
You know, and it's still happening. She's a dancer and a singer and all that stuff. And so I mean, kids are getting bullied all the time. And my mission is to try to help keep kids alive. You brought up a great, terrible, tragic fact about this girl that just killed herself. And I'm from Ohio, and near my hometown, some kid just killed himself not too long ago as well. And it's like, geez, what can we do? What can we possibly do to make a positive difference in the world? We all have these stories. I mean, the story that you just shared about being, the fat kid and all that, and how you dealt with it. I'm hoping that, our viewers out here, that we can all learn from this. It all sounds, like, okay, well, this person turned out good, whatever, but kids are killing themselves still. And it's like, your mom had gotten involved, and your mom was there for you. Jeremy Weinglass was on the show, and his mom was supportive, but he didn't have a dad in the picture. I had a great relationship with my mom, but you know what? I had a terrible relationship with my dad. Mm. Even though my dad was the one that helped teach me some fighting moves, so I was able to fight this kid, which I didn't want to do, but I did it anyway because I knew he was going to, pick on me. Right. And here you are, you're overcoming this, and you're still fighting, and you had the audacity to think that you were good enough after all that. I mean, how did you have that courage to go out there and run for election when all these kids, I mean, I would have thought that, who's going to vote for me? Because I had a really low self-esteem back then. Mm-hmm. I would have thought, who's going to vote for me? I mean, what inspired you? Where was your inspiration coming from?
I think it came from the love of my family. Even though I was tormented and my self-esteem was being knocked on a daily basis, when I went home, I had that warmth of my family. My mother, again, telling me to face the music, and just years of hearing that over and over again and really believing in it. My father also believing in me. Also my older brother, again, believing in me. My older sister. So I had this really good network at home that I found that strength. And that's what I'm thinking right now. What entered my mind is that there's really 3 parties involved here. I think when it comes to bullying, it's the individual, it's the family, and then it's the surrounding community. And I do believe that I think bullying could stop tomorrow if all the onlookers, they say something. By not saying anything, you're actually agreeing with it. So I think if what we could do and encourage each other to do is that if we see bullying, no matter what age you are, to get involved. That show on TV, What Would You Do? I think we should do more of what you should do. What you should do is get involved and really call people on what they're doing and how they're hurting this person on the inside. And you don't know how it could affect. Not only are we seeing children killing themselves, we're also seeing children killing children. With all the various school shootings that we see now, and it's we're at a tipping point that people now see it as acceptable, that if I'm getting bullied, it is now acceptable for me to go out and get a gun and go and kill my tormentor. I mean, we're reaching that tipping point. I mean, I hate to be so morbid, but again, it's that three parties. It's the individual, it's the family, and it's that surrounding community, the idea of community.
It's a good point. I recall when I was being bullied a lot myself, that there were other kids that just laughed at it happening. And so in my head, I remember thinking, hey, these other kids are laughing at what's happening, and it made it look like they were bullying me too. Even though they might have said nothing, did nothing, they weren't the one knocking my books out or taking my lunch money or all these other things. But because they laughed and they found that it was funny, I felt like the whole world was against me. Like I didn't have a single friend. And I remember I had one guy that would be like really friendly to me. We'd like be friends and talking or whatever. But then whenever the other guys were around, he would, he'd never stick up for me. And that's like a terrible friend to have.
Yeah, but again, I also feel for your friend. I do have to say this: it's that idea of the Lord of the Flies. In other words, when the threat is imminent, we're almost like, okay, I hope that doesn't happen to me, and it's almost like, hey, you're like the decoy, or they're going after Stephen, so I'm just going to lay back, and they may not see me and not be picked on. I mean, I could feel for your friend. So that's what I'm saying. I think as a parent, as an adult, when you see that, not only talk to the tormentors, not only talking to the person that's going on, but talk to the other people going on and say, hey, we gotta get involved. We gotta get involved.
Gotta get involved. Well, now you've overcome that. Obviously, once you won that election, you were like unstoppable. And now you're out there. You're an international speaker, right?
Yeah.
So you speak in a variety of different countries, and you've got these workshops. And I mean, this is your life. Your life is dedicated to giving back and helping people. And you've written books. Mm-hmm. How many books have you written?
I've read The Art of Public Speaking.
The Art of Public Speaking, and. Do you have any workshops that are coming up?
Sure. Well, now this workshop that I have, it's my signature workshop. I do it twice a year in the spring and the fall in the Los Angeles area. It's called Discover Your $1 Million Message. And that's where I talk about finding that message. Even if you were the bullied kid or the bully, what is that $1 million message written in your heart that the world is waiting to hear? See, I believe, Stephen, that all of us. See, you know what you're doing right now with your show here, Tako Time? You're sharing with people. Tako Talk. You're sharing people your $1 million message. And I think that's beautiful. And I believe that all of us has that $1 million message written inside of our hearts that the world is waiting to hear. So isn't it about time to get your message out there? Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say thanks again for coming on the show. Really appreciate having you here. Pleasure. You guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I think for sure we're going to have you back. I look forward to it, yes. He's always got such great information. Hard to get, though, but while I got you in LA. So, anyway, thanks you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you real soon on Tako Talk.